Hey Dulcie.
Hey Nikita. What are we going to do today?
I know, let's talk about one of the most controversial high school classics, Catcher in the Rye.
Let's just watch the movie.
Sadly, a movie doesn't exist because Salinger is really stubborn about his movies. So one time they turned one of his short stories into a movie and they completely left out a lot of the details and he was really mad about it. So from there on out, no more movies from Salinger's books have been made.
Sounds like a...
Calm down!
Aye aye, Captain. Let's get started on the last, but most meaningful chapter of the book.
Chapter 25.
What is it about?
It starts off with Holden right after he left Mr. Antolini's house, and then he heads down to the train station to get his bags. He doesn't want to spend the money Phoebe gave him, so he sleeps at the station instead of getting a hotel room. He then heads downtown thinking about the new life he will make for himself once he runs away from home.
Oh, I remember. This is where he starts thinking about becoming a deaf mute, so people will leave him alone.
Yeah, so after that, Holden goes to Phoebe's school and writes her a letter telling her to meet him at the museum during lunch.
And once they meet up, Phoebe is carrying a suitcase and saying that she's going with him. They argue and head to the zoo, then the carousel in Central Park.
Oh yes, the carousel is really important. In this novel, there is a lot of symbolism, and the carousel is one form of it.
Here, the carousel symbolizes a few things. 1, his decision not to leave. 2, his finally realizing that growing up really isn't that bad. And 3, Phoebe's youth and innocence.
Okay, let's start off with how he only decides now that he's not going to leave.
He realizes he wants to stay with Phoebe while she is still young, innocent, and pure, and not just come back to meet her once she is all grown up.
This is also the first time in the book that Holden is actually happy. It also happens to be pouring rain. Coincidence? I think not.
Whoa! Rain usually means rebirth, and he was finally leaving his current stage of life and growing up.
He also wants to make sure Phoebe doesn't grow up too fast like Sunny, or too slow like himself.
This shows how Holden, who previously felt that growing up was horrible, finally accepted the fact that he has to grow up and that it really isn't that bad.
Meanwhile, the carousel itself symbolizes how you need a constant forward momentum to lead a happy life.
The carousel to Holden also represents childhood bliss, containing music, lights, and a sense of security.
When Holden turns down Phoebe's invitation to ride the carousel, he finally understands his rightful place in life, feeling satisfied with himself.
As Holden puts it, I felt so damn happy all of a sudden, the way old Phoebe kept going around and around, staying safe on the carousel and in her childhood.
And all this happens to relate to one great theme, that the protection of innocence is a futile task.
So, no matter how hard you try, people will eventually grow up and not be innocent anymore.
The best you can do is prolong their innocence, as Holden does when he brings Phoebe to ride the carousel and listens to her and doesn't run away.
And that's it!
Round and around like a horse on a carousel we go. Will I catch up to love? I can never tell. I know chasing after you is like a fairy tale.